Hey, what's going on? It's that time. I've been hitting it for a little while, and now it's that time to shine some light on what took place with me at SCTPN. So I'm going to be showing you guys some information. Now I'm going to have to do this into segments because there's a lot of different things I'm going to talk about. So stay tuned as I jump around talking about different things while showing the proof or talking the story of what happened. And the best thing you could do is reach out to Ginger Davis herself, because a lot of people in the sickle cell community, they know Ginger Davis, and Ginger has refused to answer my emails. She is not sent certified letter, but the office is mainly closed. I was the main one that used to go there every day and open up the doors and have staff there. Since I haven't been working there, I was told from the staff who was there that the office has been deteriorating again. So please pay attention. All right, so for this part, screenshots are going to pop up, so you guys are going to take a look at them. So as you guys know, I do an event called These Cells Ain't Loyal. I think for These Cells Ain't Loyal Part 3, I was sponsored by Pfizer and by Vertex. Pfizer sponsored me $15,000. Vertex sponsored me $5,000. The money had to go through a non-for-profit. So I agreed to work with SCTPN and have the money go through them so then I can get paid. And that money would be used to fund the event, but also be used to help me donate money to other things that take place in the community. SCTPN gave me the $15,000 check from Pfizer. But from today, this happened, around a year ago, February of last year, of 2024. We're now February 2025, and today's date is the 24th of February. So it's been over a year now, and I still have not received the $5,000 that Vertex has sponsored me. This is money that I spend that had to go through my funds. That was promised to the people in the community for me to continue doing what I do and giving back to the community. But Ginger Davis has never paid me the $5,000. All right, next part. So in the year of 2023, from October, November, and December, none of the staff were getting paid. Ashley was working there, Jamie worked there, and Irene worked there, and myself worked in the office. None of us were getting paid. There was issues and complications. All of the staff quit. Irene, Ashley, and Jamie, all of the staff quit. But I stayed with the company. I didn't get paid for any of that time. But where's the back pay? I hadn't received that. And with that, I told Ginger I was going to have to go to another job because I needed to get funds. Ginger explained to me that starting the month of January, that not only would I get paid, she was also going to increase my pay of $1,000 to help me cover my expenses and so I can be able to do what I have to do. But with that, I agreed to relinquish my position with my other jobs because I do catering and stuff on the side. So I stopped taking any assignments and only focused on SCTPN. This payment was supposed to start January of 2024. Now, that means for the entire year of 2024, that's an extra $1,000 that's missing. So $1,000 for January, $1,000 for February. That's an extra $12,000 that I did not receive. Now, during that time, the excuse that Ginger likes to use is she had stated that she wanted Irene to put together a training curriculum, and I was supposed to start training people in January, the other company in Rochester and other community health workers, and how to get their job done. I explained to Ginger directly. I said, I don't think you should give it to Irene because Irene is starting another job because she quit our job. And although she says she will have enough time to be able to handle creating that and working for other company, my role was the regional operations director. I attained that role because I work very hard at all of my jobs. I study, I'm prudent, I'm very important with everything that I do. And I'm able to look at staff and see, all right, how much time can they allocate? I spoke directly with Irene, and she said that she can do it, but I felt she could not do it. I expressed this to Ginger. Irene's not going to have time because she's going to be focusing, starting on her new job and having to deal with that paperwork. She's not going to have time to start. Ginger was very adamant that everything will work out and I will start getting paid from January the extra $1,000. I said, I don't believe so, but if you say so, sure. January came, Irene wasn't ready because she was focused on her other job. And Ginger said, fine, she'll back pay me once everything gets started. Months went by and the work was never done. And her excuse now is that, hey, I didn't teach, so I don't get paid. That is not my responsibility. I brought it to your attention, Ginger Davis, and you informed me that I would be good, I would still get compensated. So I am owed those funds that you promised me I would get because I relinquished my other jobs. I could have still been working my other jobs and taking care of my life, but I wasn't able to based on the words of Ginger Davis. In the month of July, when I confronted Ginger about certain things, I also told her that I would be resigning and my last time at SCTPN would be December of 2024. And with that, I told her I needed a vacation because I was there for a year and a half and I hadn't taken a vacation. My vacation was due in August. In August, there was an event that was taking place by the Bronx Seventh-day Adventist Church, and they needed a manager to be there and certain things to happen. The only manager who could get there was Mark Goodwin. Mark Goodwin was not able to get there until a specific time. So I said, even though on my vacation, I didn't go anywhere, I was just getting some time to relax. I said I would still go in and work. So this is in August now. So I'm working the event in August. Sometime around then, I don't remember exactly when, I get an email from Ginger, and I'm going to put the email in the video so you guys can see it. I get an email from Ginger where she says that I need you to send me a letter of resignation saying that she resigned on July 25th. So I never resigned in July. What I told Ginger in July is that December would be my last time there. And if she needed me to train anybody before I leave, I would be willing to do so because I did not want to leave them empty-handed. I wanted to make sure they can still get the job done. So I responded to the email and I said I didn't resign in July. So this is not a resignation. This is a termination at that point. Because if I needed to get unemployment, I needed to make sure it stated correctly. So I never submitted a written documentation about that. But this was her way of wrongfully terminating me because I confronted her about how I didn't feel funds were being handled in the company, not just with me, but other things I found wrong within the company. Now, funds were not only misappropriated to me. Since my termination of SCTPN, I have met other companies who have told me that they went to work with SCTPN, and after dealing with Ginger Davis, that a lot of people were not paid their funds. But one of the things I remember while working with the company, I implemented an every Monday managers had to meet because the managers were not communicating. One manager wanted this, one manager wanted this, no one was communicating. So as the regional operations director, I started every Monday, we had to get on the phone and discuss what was going on in the company, a 1-hour conversation. During that phone call, we were discussing the upcoming sickle cell walk for 2024. The sickle cell walk takes place in September. We were talking about getting back some of the old brand ambassadors to be a part of the event. Fatima Perry, who is a social worker and works with SCTPN, one of the directors, she stated that the brand ambassadors would not come back because they had participated in the event before and they were never given any of the prizes they were supposed to get when they had did their job. So not only were external companies were not giving the funds, and I was not giving my funds. The grand marshals, the grand marshals and the people who were part of the sickle cell walk also did not get their prize or anything that they were promised to get. And this was all underneath the control of Ginger Davis. Also, once we did start getting paid again, I believe I started getting paid back around February. I was getting paid at that time every 2 weeks, $2,400. This is separate from the $1,000 I'm supposed to start getting every month starting that January. But that following February of 2024, once we did start getting paid again, many of my checks bounced. I cannot fake that. There's going to be an image showing a bunch of the list of bounced checks that went to my bank and the banks didn't go through. Those bounced checks, I don't remember how much they equate to, but I know it's around $10,000 to $15,000. So if we add up all of the funds that have been missed from me, I am owed a lot of money. And I was wrongfully terminated, so I'm missing all those months of pay from December that I was wrongfully terminated for. Now, I'm a big fighter in everything that I do. And working with SCTPN, there were many things that were not happening that were going to be conducive to a company. One of the first things that, when I first became a supervisor, because I started out as a community health worker, and then I quickly grew to a supervisor. At that time, I was tasked with cleaning up the office and fixing the office, and I cleaned up the entire basement. It was dirty. It hadn't been cleaned for years. The facility was dirty. I don't know what they were doing, but it was very dirty. There was rat droppings and bugs and stuff thrown everywhere. I went down there with masks, with gloves, everything, and I cleaned it up by myself. I got one of the homeless guys in the street where I paid him some money to help me dump some of the stuff. And while there, Ginger Davis consistently kept on saying that she wants to build a lounge inside of the office. And we all voiced it that we did not want a lounge inside of the office. It would not fit. It made no sense to put a lounge there. And why would we have a lounge there? According to her, it'd be a nice place for us to relax, put our feet up, and do things. If you guys are visiting the Brooklyn office, you guys know it's very small. So Ginger Davis ordered a bunch of office supplies that once she got it, she realized it wouldn't fit. For example, this lounge chair that also has a footrest, where the footrest is right here, were some of the things she ordered for the lounge. But they are now here because they could not fit in the lounge and she didn't want to send them back. So these just lingered about. And these are just some of the things that she did. Also with that, there's a filing cabinet. There's one so big filing cabinet where all of the patient files are handled. Once I started working there, I started going through the patient files. I'm underneath the idea that SCTPN, a company that deals with patients, would have a plethora of patients who they deal with. I'm going through the patient files and looking through the paperwork. It was brought to my attention that patients were not contacted in over 5 years. I even found paperwork for myself when they did my induction, and no one ever called me for that time. So for 5 years, they had a filing cabinet filled with staff, filled with patients that no one was communicating. So I implemented a rule in the company that before any of the community health workers did anything else, our first responsibility were to the patients who we swore an obligation to take care of them. So I said, before we do anything else any day, each one of the staff has to call at least 5 patients to engage with them to make sure that they're being treated fairly. At that time, our patient engagement went up extremely high because now we're getting through 5 every single day. Each staff is calling 5 a day, that's 25 per week. Now we have 2 or 3 staff doing that, that's 50, 75 per week. And we started catching up with standard of care. People started getting service. One of the things that made that difficult is that I told Ginger Davis that we needed office phones, proper office phones, and I told her, let me order it. Instead, she orders house phones. The house phones slowed down our productivity because we can only have 1 staff using a phone at a time, which was very unconducive to establishing business. This is a company who's getting funded from different sponsors and from the government, but the money isn't being used in the office. It's a really small office, and the bills are not that expensive. And for the amount of money that we're getting, it didn't make sense to me where that money was going to. So I started questioning the accountant, because if there's misappropriation of funds and these money are supposed to be used for patients, then I felt like somebody was using money in ways they shouldn't be using it for. So I started paying attention, and I'm looking at people taking extended vacations, people who are getting paid for time they didn't work, people, when we were going on to events and trips like that, we were getting some really nice hotels, Ubering everything was very fancy and nice. And I saw places that money were going to that weren't going to the patients we said we were going to be taken care of. I had a problem with that, because when I say I got into this fight to fight for patients that have sickle cell, I meant for all of us. When I said that I'm going to go against any company who ever hurts us, I meant any company. So I don't care if it's a community board organization that states they're for sickle cell. If I'm working for your company, if I see that you're doing wrong, I am going to say something about it. And this is the conversation that I had with Ginger Davis before I was wrongfully terminated. So please understand, working for Ginger Davis was a interesting scenario. There were things that happened that I'm not even going to speak about, because I'm not going to put certain other things in the video. I'm just going to focus on that for right now. But Ginger Davis, she's a very smart woman. She knows a lot. And when I talk about a walking encyclopedia, she is a genius. She is smart. She taught me a lot of the information, though, ischemic damage, vaso-occlusive damage, stuff with the hospital. She taught me a lot that I know. So I'm thankful for that knowledge. But that does not mean that I'm going to allow anything to happen to my community. I don't care if it's a hospital. I don't care if it's a school. I don't care what it is. If I find out anyone is taking advantage of any patient, I'm going to bring it to their attention. And for me, it's so horrible that me working hard to represent for our community, I would release from my job for fighting for the people that we were supposed to fight for. This happened right before wintertime. During the wintertime, I typically work from at home, or I don't work because we get sick when we're traveling a lot. Right after that is when I had my horrible sickness when I was in Kings County Hospital. So I haven't worked in a period since last year of July because of all of this that took place. I was investing money every week. I was doing a lot, building my future, giving back to community, donating to different charities, doing a lot for the community. And now all of that has been halted because of the acts of one individual. But it took me for a spin because I sent out emails that were, I believe I'm going to say all the names correctly, but I'm going to also put the names in the video so you guys can see it. So if I accidentally add someone's name verbally, then I apologize for saying that individual's name verbally. But I believe emails were sent to Mark Goodwin, Tashika McLean, Vivian, and Fatima Perry. And no one has responded to any of my emails when I told them what Ginger Davis was doing. And I'm sorry. If I sent you an email to bring attention to what was happening, and none of you did anything about it, then you're also a part of the problem. And I think Mark Goodwin is a fantastic individual. I think Fatima, these people are wonderful people. But if you hear, I don't care if you're friends with Ginger Davis, you've known her for so long. If you hear that she's doing bad to our community, then you have an obligation to do right by our community. The job that you took was to do right for the people, not to be her friend. So please comprehend, I'm going to come after everyone accountable. And this is me just putting on social media because I want everyone to know the type of company that SCTPN is. And I honestly don't like saying that because I believe that SCTPN started with a real great backing to really be there for the people. But underneath Ginger Davis's guiding, it's not going to get there. And Ginger used to constantly say how her ex-husband or baby daddy, I'm not quite sure, would always tell her. And he would say that SCTPN will break down underneath her tutelage. And I have to agree with him because how Ginger's been acting with this company is vile. She's damaging people. I was one of the best employees they had building that company, focused on building that company. And because I found what was happening behind scenes, I was penalized for that. So it shows that they're not really there for the people, but funds are being misappropriated. And everything that I'm saying is documented. But a lot of it was also inside of the email communication between her doing the company email. So I have to look through all of my personal emails to find some of these conversations, the ones that we had about Irene, the ones we had about certain things. But simply, she can answer any of the questions that I've put here. She can come forward and argue against any of it. Because I have sent certified mails to the office. I have sent emails, and no one has been responding to me. Because they know underneath penalties of perjury, if they lie, that's further criminal charges. So they're not going to answer the questions because she knows what she has done. And I didn't want to bring it to this level. I sent them a letter via email letting them know I just want Ginger Davis to step down from her position because she is not great for the company. And I just wanted my funds to be placed back into my pocket where they're supposed to be. Because I still have to live. Right now, I still owe rent and I have to catch up with my funds. And my funds aren't backed up because I'm not a hard worker. They're simply backed up because Ginger Davis did me unfairly and she caused the damage to another individual that she was supposed to be taking care of. So I do not think that Ginger Davis should be running SCTPN at all. Also, as I stated, I was the Regional Operations Director of the company. That is the title that Ginger Davis gave me. There were only a very few staff above me. I was above the other directors. And I was making a alright pay for that status. Now, one of the things that was really baffling is that there were 2 staff that were hired directly by Ginger. None of us knew what their positions were. None of us knew what they were getting paid for. But one of them was getting paid more than me. The other one, I don't know what they were getting paid for. With me having one of the highest positions in the company, how is someone getting paid more than me, but we don't know what they do? Because not one of the other directors or people in the company was able to say, what was this individual's role and responsibility? I inquired several times and I didn't know. Also with that, one of the staff who used to come into the office was Ginger Davis's personal daughter. What's her name? Makeda. And she used to come into the office, and I had set a strict rule in the office to comply with HIPAA. Staff were not allowed to use the phones while we're in dealing with patients. If they need to use the phones, they can ask to step outside of the office, or they can go in the bathroom. But numerous times, the staff would be walking around the office on the phone and talking about things like purchasing tickets for some event and event stuff that were coming up. And I set a strict dress code of staff wearing uniforms or dressing properly. Staff was and the staff that she hired was in the office wearing slippers, doing whatever they want to. I couldn't even speak to that staff because that staff only answered directly to Ginger. And there were times when I had to tell my staff to stop doing office work and dealing with patients because she was on a personal phone call in the office at office times. That is not how offices run. HIPAA policies are there for a reason. And one of my responsibilities was HIPAA compliance. And I told Ginger Davis several times I cannot have staff on the phone. I actually had to do a meeting with one staff for using her phones while in office time. And now another staff is coming in and doing the exact same thing that I had to reprimand one of the other staff for. How does that make it look when I'm want to get the staff to be compliant, but it's not happening because of Ginger Davis's rule? I don't know if you guys recall, but last year they did a Shine the Light Red conference via Zoom where they had different people supposed to come and speak. That event was horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Nothing went correctly. For months leading up to the event, as people who know me knows, I'm an event planner. I'm an event coordinator and I do events. Ginger gave me the title of running that event. And I would set deadlines. We needed flyers done by a certain time. We needed staff trained by a certain time. We needed certain protocols and certain things to happen at a certain time. Every time I asked Ginger about it, she kept on saying no, and pushing it back. It wasn't until the absolute day before the event, literally one day before the event, she got us on the phone with one of the individuals who worked at I can't remember the name of the company. It's a program that we use on the computer. We're able to access, go into the back end and to let people into the different rooms so we can have the presentations and stuff. This was the day before the event. And the staff did not know what to do. And at that time, these were new staff, not the ones that I mentioned before. These were new staff, Prince and Beyonce. Yeah, we had celebrities in the office. And I was responsible for training them. They weren't even finished their 3-month probation yet. I directly told Ginger in front of them, I said, I need to train them because they're not ready. Ginger responds, they're ready. They know what to do. The staff, Beyonce, responds, oh yeah, I'm good. I know what to do. I know they don't know what to do because I've been the one in the office every day training with them. I'm the one going in there, opening the doors and working with them hand in hand directly. The day of the event, no one knew what to do. The logins weren't working. We couldn't let people inside rooms, and the conference was horrible. And it was bad because when I told Ginger Davis I wanted to train the staff, she said no, they don't need training. They know what to do. Why make me the staff trainer and depend on me to give reports on them to see if they're ready to get the job done? And when I advise you they're not ready, you don't listen to me. Why is it that 6 months before the event, 5 months before the event, I'm saying let's do training, let's finish the flyer, let's get everything ready, and it kept on being told no, we don't need that. Then when the event comes, the entire event was a debacle. In the office the day of the event, the staff asking me, Trey, what do I do? And I simply told them at that point, I am not getting involved because we had months to prepare for this. And I have sickle cell. And I am not going to stress myself out because our manager was not listening. Our director, our president was not listening when I said we needed to train. Underneath Ginger, no trainings happened. I was the one who in the office would sit down with the staff and say, all right, we're reading this today. We're going over this. We're studying this. But when it came time to do other things, it was always a pushback from her. And honestly speaking, she bragged a lot about how her children, all of them read the dictionaries and were so smart. And I didn't go to college. And I always felt that there was a bias against me because I wasn't on her, let's say, intellect level. I didn't read the books as I was now. I was learning a lot from her. Because almost everything I ever said was pushed back against. But if another director or someone said the exact same thing, it would be okay. We would be on several calls with directors where I would bring up something that I spoke to Ginger about recently, where she told me completely no, and she thought it'd be dead. So I brought it back up in our Monday staff meetings. When I gave these ideas, the other directors loved it and asked why we never did that before. But when the other people said it now, she'd be like, okay, I guess you guys want to do it, then we can do it. But when I suggested anything, it was disregarded. So I was constantly treated like I was not intelligent to hold the position that I have because I didn't go to college or I didn't read the books that she read. But one thing about me, I might not have been to college, but I'm very smart. I study and I read and I apply myself to everything that I do. So being treated like I was inadequate was a horrible feeling to know that the woman who at that time I'm looking up to, because she is such a smart woman. She has so much information and she has so much that she can do and she applies herself. But running an office is not one of them. I firmly believe that she should have dealt with just doing the congressional stuff and certain other things and let other people who can run an office because she was not fit to run that office at all. Also, the filing cabinet that was there, Ginger and I went back and forth for a good period of like a couple months about that filing cabinet, because she wanted me to dump the entire filing cabinet. She said that she wanted everything to go digital, and I was adamant that everything should not go digital. We needed to keep paper copies of all of the files, and she swore that she wanted to get rid of it, and I refused to. She tasked me with taking it outside and putting it into the garbage. Instead of doing that, the staff, myself, primarily Jamie and myself, we emptied out the entire filing cabinet. We laid it down and we scrubbed it because it was dirty. They had it there for how long? No one ever cleaned it. It was dirty. We literally scrubbed it down and we scrubbed all the sides of the front. And it looked very clean after it. I don't know if it's still in the office, but it looked very clean after that. And I fought for it because I know that almost every company keep paper copy backups of their files, because if there's any kind of technology issue, you want to have backup copies. During my time working there, several times the internet went down and we couldn't go online to contact the patients. So I had the staff start using Google Voices on their personal phones, so we didn't have to give out our personal numbers, and we were still able to use the paper files to contact patients, and then we put our notes down on paper, and then we're able to transfer them onto the computer once the computers were back up and running. But if we didn't keep those paper files, we would not be able to do so. Even at that time, I believe it was Interfaith Hospital, who their internet was down and they couldn't access their files for a while. And during that time, I was still discussing with Ginger. And I told her, look, Interfaith's computers are down. If theirs can go down, this shows any computer can go down. And they were able to adapt because they had paper backups of their files. So I'm glad I fought the battle and I didn't dump that filing cabinet, because too many times the internet was down, and if we didn't have that filing cabinet, we would not have been able to take care of our patients. These are just some of the decisions that she made that shows she was unfit to be a manager, because it just didn't make sense why we would make that kind of decision. And me being a manager at so many different companies, like I said, I become a manager at most of my jobs between 3 to 6 months, because I work very hard. I'm one of the first people at the door, one of the last people out, and I want to make sure things get done right. I work very hard at every job that I get. And clearly she is aware of that. That's why she promoted me in such a fast rate to a regional operations director to oversee things. But I guess she didn't think that I would go against her with certain things. But like I said, if anyone's going against sickle cell warriors, I'm going to say something about it, no matter who it is.